In this series of videos, we are guided around some very early lifts from around the 1960s. These videos are edited to bring you superb detail, which is a trademark here on the Mr. Matt and Mr. Chay channel. Coming up, rare duplex lifts from 1968. We see the lift shaft, motor room, controller, an animation of how this device works, and if that's not enough, with the help of another animation, I explain how I think the logic works to decide which lift to send to which floor.
Okay, why is that?
It must know what's the closest lift.
I see.
These are duplex lifts from 1968. This means these lifts are linked and work together to answer calls. You may say, what's the big deal? But without computers, how does a mechanical system do the job instead? Me and LIFTTRACKER are here with the lift engineer and the head of maintenance, who have both kindly given up some of their personal time to show us some of the lifts in this place. We start with a few rides up and down, before we go to the top floor and a very detailed view of the car top and lift shaft devices.
This would be like that.
These lifts have programmable features. Here, one car parks on the ground floor with the doors open. The doors on the other lift close, and this lift is dispatched to all other calls. The method used to program such features is quite interesting. Not forgetting this is a mechanical system, there is no computer or menu system to switch this feature on. You'll see how it's programmed later in the next part, when we have a look at the motor room. Now to have a look into the lift shaft. We start on the ground floor. If you look carefully, you'll notice roller switches that are activated by the lift one at a time as it descends to the bottom of the shaft. After we're finished here, we'll go to the top floor and I'll explain what they do, as the top of the shaft has the same switches. It's quite interesting and also shows the simplicity of these old lift systems.
Okay, your turn.
This may look like a simple floor position panel, but the construction is more complicated to ensure that a lamp only lights the digit in front of it. If you would like to see behind one, I've created a separate video where I examine one in detail.
Looks like they've put some resin and it's soaked through to the other side. And you can see how they've done that, just to hold that middle piece in position. That made me jump.
Coney done that when they were up here for a year. That and Nash.
Send that one up.
Did the wider. That is like they've done this, so I did that. Coney, right, yeah. He's done quite a few, and we were thinking like this. And I think of his memory, like, yeah, I hate a pain for it. I need shaft lighting for this. He went, too late, I know it's right.
Here we see the top of the shaft. Being an old lift, nothing is miniaturized, which makes the car top look very busy in appearance. After we've had a quick scan around, I go back and explain everything in much more detail, including the 5 roller switches at the top of the shaft. The lowest roller switch is the first to be activated while the lift is going up and at the top of the shaft. It reverses the call direction by activating going down relay 83 and cancels the going up relay 81. The slowdown sequence is activated by vanes on the right of the shaft. If this fails to work, this slowdown roller switch ensures the lift does slow down and therefore is a backup. This roller switch is for safety and prevents the lift going any higher when a lift engineer is on top of the lift driving it up on inspection mode. As before, slowing and stopping is controlled by vanes on the right of the shaft. This roller switch is another backup to stop the lift at the top of the shaft. As this switch is set 1 inch higher than the vanes, it should never be activated in normal operation. If it does, then the lift will travel into the roller switch and passengers will probably notice the lift car has levelled 1 inch higher than it should have done. The over-travel roller switch shuts down the lift should it reach the top of the shaft. To get the lift back down again, there is an OT push button in the lift controller cabinet. When pushed, this overrides the over-travel roller switch, so the lift can be brought back down manually, but only by a lift engineer. As this lift is driven from the basement, ropes come up the back of the shaft, then divert back down, one to the counterweight on the left and the other the lift car. These ropes go around the sheave in the basement. When one goes down, the other comes up. The vanes have two purposes. One is for counting floors, whilst the other is for initiating the slowdown sequence and stopping the lift level with the floor. These are inductors, or I suppose you could call them vane readers. They are attached to the lift car and read the vanes as they pass through. The lift alarm is a two-tone sounder from the 1980s called a sound bomb. Underneath is a 12-volt power supply with a battery backup inside, so it still works during a power cut. These are the car top controls. You can drive the lift up and down manually with these, but only into the maintenance roller switch at the top of the shaft, shown earlier. The door operator consists of a motor on the right and a gearbox on the left, which drives a massive lever that opens and shuts the doors. And finally, the retiring cam, which unlocks the outer doors when the lift stops, before they are opened by the door operator. We continue this video in part 2 with the motor room. In part 2, I explain what all the relays do. With the help from Pete Lomas, start explaining the logic systems that decide which lift to send to which floor. And the express system is not the same as OTIS. With OTIS duplex lifts, one lift responds to the up landing calls, and the other lift gets the down calls. I have a separate video that goes through this with animations, which you can see by clicking the link at the top, or see the video description. But remember, the express lift's design does not work the same as OTIS. Also, please visit the LIFTTRACKER channel by clicking the link above. There's lots of quality content here, as LIFTTRACKER does a lot of travelling to find it. I spend a lot of time and effort editing these videos. Quality, not quantity, is our motto. If you've enjoyed watching, please consider subscribing to the Mr. Matt and Mr. Chay channel. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to click part 2 up in the top left.